How do you feel most of the time? A lot of people have no idea that this is a huge determinant of your physical facial attractiveness and that of your body, particularly as you become older. The older you are, the more your emotional state is going to pretty much directly reflect your overall facial and physical attractiveness. But I'd say from the age of 25 onwards is when your emotional state will have a serious effect on your looks. So why is this? Because a lot of us think being positive is about just enjoying your life and about being nice to other people and being pleasant to be around. Little do people realize their internal emotional states sets off patterns in the body, which then manifest as physical signs of either attraction and unattractiveness. Okay, so how does this work? Because right now, this all sounds good in theory, but mechanistically, how does it work? I'm going to break it down very simply. So let's say you're angry most of the time. Okay, so you're angry. Okay, what's wrong with being angry? You know, we all feel angry. We get told, yeah, channel anger into XYZ. Yes, but if you're angry the majority of time, here's the issue. Your body doesn't know why you're angry. It only knows three things. And those three things are threat. So there's a threat in the environment. It knows absence of threat, so it doesn't feel at danger. And it also knows creativity. It knows when you're in the mood to create. Creation is ultimately downstream from reproduction. It all comes from reproduction, but that's what creation is about. So which one does anger map out? Because each emotional state will map out to one of these three things. Threat. If you're angry, it means you're at conflict with your environment. You are only at conflict in your environment if you feel something is aggrieving you in some sort of way. It's limiting your ability to survive or have comfort, which is the same thing, or reproduce, express yourself. So you're angry because you perceive a threat. That is what your body perceives. Now, what's the big deal about this? How does this all tie in to your looks and physical attractiveness? It's very simple. I'm not going to explore these any further because that will make the video way too long. I just want to get to the point to explain why having a certain emotional state will affect your looks for the good or for the bad. And it's not even just effects. I almost want to backtrack on that word. It is going to determine your looks alongside other factors, but it is easily a top 5 determinant of your looks, along with stuff like underlying bone structure, etc. So the issue here is when you're angry, you perceive it as a threat. Now, here's the key. You become SNS dominant. Okay, what's this? Looks like I'm just trying to be smart. No, this stands for your sympathetic nervous system. This is fight or flight. Guys, your central nervous system is like a seesaw. It is constantly tipping into the balance of either parasympathetic dominance, which is calm, rest and digest, growth and repair, where you can create, or sympathetic dominance, fight or flight. And it is a seesaw. They're always both on, but at any single time, one may be more dominant than the other. Now, when you're angry, you perceive it as a threat. And any time you're perceiving your environment as a threat, your fight or flight nervous system becomes dominant. It kicks in. And this is catastrophic for your looks. Why? Because this is going to result in the secretion, which just means release, of certain hormones. It's going to cause certain hormones and neurotransmitters to be released. That's how your body works. It perceives danger. Guess what? It's going to pull you into survival mode. Your body just wants to survive. So what does that mean? It's going to secrete certain hormones that protect your vital organs, so your heart and your lungs. And it's going to forget about periphery organs such as your skin, which is obviously a huge determinant of your facial attractiveness and overall attractiveness. It's going to forget about your bone structure. It's going to forget about your hair, all these different things, because they're not your essential organs. So it's going to secrete adrenaline. All these hormones serve to do, by the way, is divert resources away from basically the things that make you attractive to your essential organs. So it's going to secrete adrenaline, noradrenaline, and maybe we're not so familiar with noradrenaline, but we're all familiar with adrenaline and, I would hope, cortisol, the big looks killer. You see, cortisol is catabolic. What cortisol is going to do is it's going to break down your bone, your muscle, your skin in order to divert energy towards your heart and lungs. Furthermore, it's also going to inhibit the production of new bone, new skin, etc., all required to make you attractive. And that is ultimately why people who are angry most of the time turn out to be unattractive. It is because of this process here. Now, I just want to get back to the point here. This is about your prevailing emotional state. Prevailing. It's about what you do most of the time. 50% plus of the time. What happens is when that happens most of the time, this secretion becomes, I promise you I'll get better at articulating stuff on the board, but it becomes chronic. It becomes chronic. So your body is constantly releasing cortisol. So you can never catch up. These hormones are a part of our system. They're important and they should be secreted occasionally. But if they're being chronically secreted, you are going to suffer looks-wise. So this is a great example of why your emotional state is a huge factor in your attractiveness.